Although the road from above does look very good. Hello everyone, welcome back to Rio Disney Resort here in Planet Coaster 2. Today we are going to break ground on the hotel area. We're going to get straight through it here, measuring up the viewpoints that I mentioned in episode 1. We want to make sure that all the viewpoints in Disney Resorts are correct, and there is no exception right here. Getting straight to it, it was quite a long recording this, trying to get everything to fit well. We managed to shrink it down to a 10-minute video because even though the recording was over 10 hours long, we really didn't get too much done. We got the whole hotel done, which is really rather nice. Working on the layout here, I'm going to go for this sort of staggered look really to break it up. I want a bit of depth there into the room area, and as we go underneath the hotel, here we can see starting the tunnel. We've used the base design, we've recolored it to a light beige, sort of fit in the design of the hotel there as well. Working on the base of the hotel, we're going to go for this unique different look. We got a nice not so hidden Mickey there. We're going to recolor in a slightly darker brown with a little bit of a golden texture, and then in the background of this we're going to go for this really nice type of golden texture. These we're using these fences, repurposing them, and it just looked really nice. We're going to add that all around the base here, twist that and turn it into position. This is sort of like the initial entrance lobby, and on both sides you have these grand staircases which will go up to the main lobby, which will be covered by a dome with lifts as well on either side for our passengers or our guests even, with reduced mobility. Working here on the entrance plaza, like I said, there's going to be quite a couple of billboards here that we're going to be twisting and turning around. They're going to depict the various different lands and aspects, attractions, etc. of the park. Working on the base then of our main reception area and the dome. So the inspiration for this is the scene in Beauty and the Beast, where Beauty and the Beast are dancing, and I always loved the design of that ballroom, and that's exactly what we're creating here. And oh boy, what a pain it was. Adding in some glass planes here to make sure that it's all see-through, and we're just creating this beautiful motif which isn't exactly directly from the movie, but it is inspired by the movie. That's simply because of slight limitations in the game. I've also made this golden arch sort of on the side there. You can see that on the inside of the glass there, which ties it all well together. As you can see, nothing is lining up at the moment. The amount of, how should we say, non-Christian words that were uttered at this point were in great abundance indeed. Working on the second and the third floors then of the dome, which will later become the second and the third floor as well of the main hotel rooms. Here are see-through windows. As always, I just think it works really well. I like creating custom windows because you've just got so much more freedom than the actual true ones. So we're going to go for this inspired by the base look, but slightly different. We're going to go for these nice dark green fences all around. There's going to be a balcony filled with some lovely shrubbery, a little palm tree, and some flowers there as well to show off, really. You know, Rio has got a lot of nature. We're going to resize that to make sure it all fits, and there you go, you can get a little bit of an impression of the garden there. Felt like it was missing just one more little thing, so we're going to add in a little bit of texture there, a little bit of stonework above the windows, just to make sure that all ties in together. And there we go. Going to recolor that to make sure that it fits in the similar colors, and it actually worked out really well because it is a two-piece thing. You've got the archway around the window, but at the same time you've got this top piece there as well. Arches for the inside, just like in the movie, and basically the idea is that the guests can walk up the top as well. What there is going to be at the top, I haven't decided yet. You're not going to have access to the guest rooms really, so there might be a cafe or a restaurant or two up there as well, together with the flooring. And making this all fit into place was, how should we say, interesting. It was very interesting indeed. Just finishing off the look here as well, we've mimicked the fence work from outside because it worked really well, and obviously this is when structural engineer Vince was like, oh no, it will fit nicely, it all being the same sides and in a rotary form. No. And that's spent many an hours trying to get this right. I think the total recording time for this was 16 hours condensed down into a 10-minute video, so to get this right was quite tricky, especially this next bit, which is the glass dome, which in fairness it still has a few overlapping points. but I can't get it any better than the way it is already. It looks quite good, it looks quite unique. I think it has something with the whole various different viewpoints. It's a very tricky thing to make, but I think it ended up really well. We're going to use the colors here as inspired by South America, Brazil mainly. At the bottom we've got the Amazon rainforest that leads up into the beautiful blue clear water, and then the skies of Brazil leading to eventually the sunset at the very top there. You can see the variety of different colors. There is the dome all created, and I kid you not, it took about 3 hours to get that shape right and to get the interior right, but boy howdy do I think it turned out very nicely indeed. And it was very overlapping at the top, so I've created this almost concrete top. We're going to create a little tower on top of that in a later episode, and from there a beautiful chandelier will hang as well, just like in the movie. Working on the guest rooms, we're going to take inspiration here from the second and third floors of the dome as well. We're going to keep that motif going because at this point I was losing the will to live. There it is, and it actually turns out really well. It works really well, and I think it was a good decision overall to repurpose these walls right here with the planters and the gardens. The guest rooms looked really, really nice indeed. For the guest rooms at the bottom, we're going to make some custom facades later, and they'll come in with some default windows, but we sync them in to make it look quite nice, because obviously if you are walking through the guest rooms you won't be able to actually see into the second and the third floor. However, if you're on the ground floor, obviously you can look in, so we just had to be a bit creative with that. We'll add a little parasol because why not? I love parasols, and whoever is staying in this room, it's obviously got a really, really nice big balcony. At the bottom you've got a nice little terrace as well there, so the idea really is that those people at the bottom rooms, they've got the really expensive rooms, the big suites most likely, you can walk straight out. The second floor as well, big suites, nice balcony, a little bit more privacy. There you can see the windows sunken in, just correcting a little bit of the facade before we copy and paste that. You got a little bit of a sunken door on the right hand side which will come out of the room. That's it all copied and pasted into place, and it turned out a lot better than I actually thought it would. I eventually copied and pasted it to the other side, and I wasn't expecting it to look the way it did. It works really well. I thought it might have been a little bit repetitive. So to combat that a little bit, we're going to add in these circular roofs, which breaks up the shape a little bit. Looks really nicely. And then we've got these aquatic walls, which are going to make a little bit of a lighter color, match the color, and it just complements it really well. Obviously they're going to move slightly backwards into place to make sure that it fits there with the walls. There's a little bit of a gap there at the moment. So we are going to make some planters. Disney, of course, famous for having foliage and beautiful planters everywhere. This area can't escape that. So every single major ground room is going to have some plants in the front. Also for a little bit of privacy, you've got some plants. And how beautiful is it if you wake up in your beautiful little resort hotel room and you've just got these lovely flowers and these lovely plants that are your first point of view. So there we go, trying to make this nice little flower bed. They are always tricky to get right, especially with the colours, because you're trying to create a little bit of variety there, but also try to keep it as unique as possible, and meanwhile trying to not have these flowers stick out the side. Add a little palm tree in there for a little bit of diversity, and a few green bushes, and then we copy that round. Working on the patio here then for the ground floor rooms. Each room is going to have this sort of dark wood. Really, I've really been in a dark wood sort of phase, I guess, recently. Of course, in our Planet Zoo series we're using a lot of dark wood at the moment, and that's been mimicked here as well. As you can see, the design of the hotel's completely gone out the perspective of what I wanted to do. I've been changing my mind constantly. You can see that little blue tower at the bottom, that's going because that was hideous, and eventually when I settled on this I was like, no more towers, it's going to be these sort of standalone buildings here, which turn out really well. Putting in some of the pathway, initially went for the default path, which then luckily we found out later that we could recolor, and we making this really, really nice light stone path, which just elevates this. Here we go, here's the dark path, and I was initially like, okay, this looks very interesting, but I wanted the texture. So there we go, we're updating the whole thing, getting rid of the curves, adding in curbs, I believe, actually here and there, just to make it finish, and then we can do the gardens in a later episode, and I think it just looks really, really nice indeed. Some of the detail works on the side I've done off camera, just to make sure that it all fits in together. And I've got a few more tweaks to do here on the pathways, just to make sure that it all fits up correctly with the outdoor patios. Something I noticed on the first building, it didn't quite do that. These sort of resort rooms on this side get quite close to the road. I've been contemplating whether or not to sink the road down below, below the ground. Yes or no, I want to keep the road visible. Whether or not we do that, I don't know yet, or whether or not there'll be a berm or some gardens in there, I haven't decided yet.